Hey, Coach.
Hey, how's it going?
Thanks for taking the time.
Oh yeah, no problem.
We're gonna go Dave Zangaro first, and then Tim McManus. Fire away, guys.
Hey Dave, how you doing?
Hey, great. How are you?
Good. You guys obviously added a bunch of speed this off season. Of those guys, any of them that you've tabbed as possible return men for you?
Oh gosh, man, we got all kinds of options there right now. No, I would just say Howie and those guys. I mean, they've always done a great job, but I mean, this year they've given us a lot of options back there. We have, I mean, everyone wants to be a returner. We're meeting with those rookies right now, and they've all done it, and they've all been really good at it. So it's hard to say, well, you can't do it. So we're excited. It's obviously a great opportunity to watch all those guys and see them go. We haven't really gotten out on the field yet. I mean, we've done a few walkthroughs, but we can't really use the jugs machine, at least not when I'm out there, to see them catch balls and that type of stuff. But we definitely have a lot to work with, so we're definitely excited about that.
Hey, Dave, coaches being older than the players are in a higher risk category when it comes to the coronavirus. I'm curious what kind of conversations you've had with your family about this as you're getting ready to return to work, and what kind of safeguards are you taking, for yourself as you start the season?
Yeah, I think for me, for us, I mean, I think kind of common sense is probably the biggest theme. Got to be smart. Obviously, there's definitely an issue going on out there with the COVID. We understand the concerns. I think we feel good about it. As long as we wear a mask and take care of our responsibility outside the building. Obviously, I feel great about inside the building.
Go Les and then Bo Wolf.
I can't hear you.
Hi. Hey, Dave. So Davion Taylor is a guy that they drafted who seems to be tailor-made for special teams. How do you see him fitting into what you do? Was that an exciting draft pick for you, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, I would say really we've had these rookies in the virtual meetings and all that, which was really fun. I thought they did a great job. And we've had them out here doing some walkthroughs and all that. Obviously, we've watched a lot of film on all these guys. I'm really excited about Davion. I'm excited about the whole group. I'm excited about Sean Bradley also. He's done a nice job. And Dante Olson, so we got 3 young linebackers in here. But I would say overall with this class coming in, we got a lot of speed, a lot of talent, and these guys all have a lot of tools with us. So now it's really our responsibility to get these guys ready to play football in the National Football League. But, yeah, definitely excited about Davion, but really excited about this whole group. This group's been really fun to work with, and I think they all have a lot of talent.
Hey, Coach, when we've talked to you in the past, you sort of told us, you don't really know about these guys on special teams until you see them in the games. So how will you go about evaluating them without preseason games?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. I think that's probably on every coach's mind right now. I mean, it's going to be a challenge, obviously, without preseason games. At the same time, I think we just got to do a great job of kind of putting them in situations where they can show themselves. So I would say probably a lot of competitive drills and some competitive environments in our practices, maybe a little bit more than we've done in the past, so we can make sure that we get a great evaluation on the guys. I think it'll be a challenge, but the good news is everybody's in the exact same boat. And it'll be fun. I think sometimes when things are different, it makes it, it's fun. It's a new challenge. You got to figure out how to make the most of it. And so we're excited about getting into this thing.
Go Jimmy and then Mike K.
Hey, Dave. So last year you had Miles Sanders on kick returns, and we're at least planning on using Deshaun on punt returns before he got hurt, potentially in like high leverage type situations. Is it safe to assume that Doug won't let you use Miles this year, and then also maybe Deshaun as well?
Yeah, I mean, I would say, I guess, projecting Miles might have a little bit bigger role on offense. At this point in time, obviously, we'll see how everything plays out. But I would say if that's the case, then we'd probably see him less on kickoff return, if at all. And then Deshaun, I would say it's probably a similar situation. I really haven't been around him because of all the rules and restrictions right now. But we'll probably have some conversations, see how he feels, see how his body feels. At the end of the day, for us, it's obviously, what can we do to help this football team win? That being said, we also got to be smart in how we manage all these players and don't ask them to do something that's going to put them in harm's way. But this organization's always been great with that. Coach Peterson's been great with that. So we'll just kind of see how it goes. But I think, putting those guys in is always an option at some point, depending on the situation. But at the same time, we do have a lot of young, talented players that we look forward to getting in the game. Sometimes if there's a young, talented player who's not getting as many reps on offense or defense, then his opportunity to show himself on special teams helps him perform at a high level also. So we're looking forward to it.
Hey, Dave. Circling back to Tim's question about the coronavirus and you guys potentially being exposed, has this coaching staff talked about a succession plan if, God forbid, somebody on the staff, gets infected or there's an issue with players in a certain unit?
Yeah, I'm sure. I haven't been a part of any direct conversations with Coach Peterson or anything, but I know all of us as coaches are thinking contingency plans. That's what we do. And so I think, we've all thought about that. Obviously for us, I got a great assistant, Luke Thompson, so if something happened to me, I know he would do a great job. We got Matt Harper on the staff, who's been my assistant for a long time, so he could obviously help out in a pinch. And then I would also say, just for the sake of special teams, every coach on our staff has been involved with helping us out. And those guys all do a great job with that, and Coach Peterson and the organization support that. So, we got a lot of guys who've been a part of teaching what we teach for a long time. So I feel good about it. Obviously, hopefully everybody can stay safe and healthy with the environment they've created here. I feel great about that also.
Let's go John Mcmullen and then Zach Berman.
Hey, Dave, thanks for doing this. Just curious, there's been a lot of changes as far as rules over the past few years, and I was wondering if you watched any of the XFL, if you watched any of the kickoff rules that they tried to implement, try to make it more competitive, and what you thought about them.
Yeah, I watched just a little bit, but I would be lying if I said I watched a lot of it. I just seen a few plays. I saw a touchdown return because I was curious just to see how they got that done. But I did not really go through it in detail to think. I don't have a strong opinion on it. I feel good about what we're doing. Obviously, I did watch some of it, but I don't have a strong opinion.
Hey, Dave, I'm focusing specifically on Jalen Reagor. What makes him an effective punt return rate? I think he was 20-plus yards per return last season. And then also, does he return kicks as well?
Could you say that last part? You broke up on me there.
And Jalen Reagor, does he return kicks as well as
Gotcha.
punts?
Yeah, Jalen's obviously a really explosive player. When the ball's in his hands, he's electric. He made a lot happen. Obviously, he had a huge average in college. We're really excited about him, so definitely excited about him for us here. When he's out in space, he can make guys miss. He's quick. He does a good job catching the ball. So I'm definitely excited about him. He has done some kick return stuff in the past there. We'll see. We'll kind of balance all that stuff with what his role is on offense. Obviously, I think that's a evolving situation there, so we're just going to have to monitor that and how much we try to ask of him and use him. But he's definitely a possibility back there at kick return. To say he's going to go in there and be the guy right now, I couldn't do that for you. But I know he's a talented player, and we want to try to get the ball in his hands as much as we can, as long as we can keep him fresh and healthy at the same time.
So Rob Kessner and then Damo.
Hey, Dave. In a conversation with Corey Clement this offseason, he talked a lot about how he wants to make an impact on special teams, and you were just mentioning some of the younger guys that maybe wouldn't be on the field as much. Is he one of those, and how can he impact what you're trying to do?
Gosh, man, Corey, when he's been healthy, obviously that's been a little bit of a challenge, obviously, unfortunately for him. But when he's been healthy, he's been really a great special teams player for us. We put together a lot of cut-ups or a lot of film and a lot of film of examples of guys doing things really well. in the past so that players can watch those. And he's on a bunch of those films, just being examples of how to play plays and situations for us just from the time he's been here. So I would say when he's healthy, he's been a really high-level player. I know he's really motivated right now, and we can't wait to get him out there. I mean, I think sometimes guys go through emotional roller coasters in this game. Their roles change a lot. You know, he obviously came in here. He was really hungry. He's an undrafted free agent. Obviously a great story. He ends up making a contribution. He made the first tackle for us on that kickoff in that opening game against Washington up at their place. Started his NFL career off with a bang with that play, and then that season just accelerated for him. He ended up turning into a great player, had the big Super Bowl game, was playing a bunch on offense, and then obviously his role changed, a little more offense, and then he had some injuries and all that stuff. But I would say I think his mind's in a really good spot, and I think, you know, that's often not talked about, but I would say just his guy's mindset and mentality plays a big part in what you end up getting out of him on the football field. And I think he's in a really great place right now, and I'm really excited to watch him play and contribute.
Dave, you had mentioned earlier about your assistants. Because of the possibility that you could get sidelined by testing positive, I mean, have you taken a different approach to giving them more responsibility and making them more ready in case you got sidelined?
Yeah, I would like to think that the approach we've had has been pretty inclusive with those guys. So I think like we break up a lot of meetings. So my assistants are always meeting with individual players or groups of players throughout the course of the year. That's been done. So, I mean, those guys are really, I think, ready to go. Matt Harper did that for a long time for us. Obviously, Luke's doing that now. We give those guys a lot of responsibility. So, yeah, I feel good about it, but I don't think we have to do really anything too different because the kind of the system we have in place is fairly inclusive that way.
We're going to take three more for Coach Fipp. We're going to go Ed Kratz, Bo Wolf, and then Mike Kay.
Yeah, hi, Dave. You mentioned you have a slew of returning possibilities. Could you envision a scenario where maybe you use a rotation of 2 or 3 players depending on responsibilities, et cetera, or would you like to just kind of settle on one and roll with it?
Yeah, I would say, I mean, that's a great question. I would say probably most of that decision comes down to, most of that decision for me would come down to kind of what's going on in the game. If that's the best way to do it, then we'd definitely do it that way. I think, you know, you want to kind of try to focus these players so that they don't have too much to think about or worry about or too many different roles. I think that can make it hard on a player. It can take some of their energy and emotion away from them in the course of the game. I mean, an ideal situation is you have, you know, a guy who knows that this is my role and I'm going to be the guy and I'm doing that full time. I think that's probably more ideal. That being said, if you have a bunch of really dynamic players, maybe there's also situational plays for each player. You know, teams in the past have used one returner in the plus 50 area of the field maybe because he's a really good ball handler and a secure catcher, and then they played somebody different where they think they can get a return going. So those are always options. And then there's also always the option of, hey, you know, should we put 2 returners back there deep? And truth be told, punt teams are spreading the ball around the field so much more, trying to keep the ball out of those returners' hands a little bit more, that I think that's probably going to come into play a little bit more as we continue to go. But all those things are on the table. I think an ideal situation is you have an unbelievable returner and you're going to keep the ball in his hands. But at the end of the day, as coaches, you're just trying to do what's best for the team. So hopefully that answers the question there.
Yeah, thank you.
Coach, on the COVID front, can you just sort of tell us what daily life has been like at home for you over the past couple months, and then now that you're back in the building, what's the deal at home with the family? Do you have to distance from them at all inside the house, or how are you approaching that?
Yeah, no, it's been great. I mean, the off season with the virtual stuff, I'll say that was really enjoyable for me personally. If I had a preference, anytime I could meet with a player, it'd be in person. But I will say that it was a great challenge. It was fun. It was different. You had to find a different way to touch those guys emotionally. and teach them. You had to make sure, you had to find different teaching techniques because not all the tools you have in a classroom environment were available to you. So that was enjoyable for me. In terms of the, I think the social distance and the practicing whatever safety measures or protocols. We've just taken the approach of common sense. I mean, we've stayed together a lot. We've stayed in the house a lot more. We've gone out and walks and continued to exercise and go outside. We've stayed away from obviously crowded areas and whatnot. If we are in those situations, we make sure we use, like I said, common sense and wear a mask and all that stuff. We've talked to our kids about that. We have 3 kids. I mean, I guess my biggest concern is how do you balance, to your children of, being a kid and having some kind of normalcy in your life, but at the same time also making sure you're safe. And, that's a difficult challenge because you don't want your kids locked up inside all day and have no interactions. At the same time, you don't want to put them in a high-risk situation. So we've talked to them a lot about masks and being safe and washing your hands and all that stuff there. But for me right now, I'm in great shape because they're all down at the shore and I'm here, so I'm solo. So I got it easy. I'm socially distant.
Perfect. Thanks, Coach.
Dave, Duke Riley kind of came in and made an immediate impact and got named special teams captain after just 2 months. What did he bring to the room, and what does he bring to the field from your point of view on special teams?
Yeah, Duke's a great guy. He just has a lot of energy. I would say that's the first thing. And then he plays the game with a lot of passion. You can tell it's really important to him. He embraces every play. It doesn't matter if it's an offensive play, a defensive play. He plays them all the same way. You can tell he's a true competitor. I mean, I will say to you, I know it's kind of come up, this theme, but, I mean, my favorite part of this whole game is those guys' stories. I mean, he's got a great story. He comes from a unique situation. He's got great interests off the field of fishing and hunting and doing all these crazy things. But at the end of the day, he has a burning passion to succeed and to become a complete player in this league. He loves playing the game, and you can tell that it's really important to him. And I'd say his demeanor and energy is infectious, and that's something he really brought to the room. And I mean, he's kind of a leader. He's a natural get-in-front guy. Players rally around him. They enjoy him, not only on the field but off the field. All that stuff's important, but just really, he's a unique person and really enjoyable to be around. And obviously, I love the way he plays the game. I really appreciate him and have a lot of respect for him.
Thanks so much, Coach. Really appreciate it.
No problem. I appreciate all you guys. Sorry we have to do it this way, but what are we going to do? Like I tell the players, man, find a way to get it done.